I've just checked, Rachel, and we are live. But the system,
Yay.
an error occurred. Please wait a moment and try again. So bear with us, ladies, if you're with us. It's saying an error has occurred. Excellent. Good start. Good start. Try that again. It's saying we're live and we've got 2 people here. Ladies, if you can see us, drop us a comment. Oh, I think there's some there.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Love it. Brilliant.
Sarah, hello. Yeah, the countdown's really like judgy, isn't it? I love that. Welcome to Magical Manifestation Check Training. We do this every month on the first Friday of the month. Hi, Emma. Thanks for joining. My name, if you don't know me yet, is Eloise Burton, and I'm a money alchemist. And today we're streaming into my group and also onto my page. So we might have some people coming from both sides. But we're also joined by Rachael Setford-Berry, who has been in my life for getting on for 2 years.
Oh, my God.
That feels like she's always been there. And Rachael has been helping me to understand my my spiritual gifts and myself a lot more. So Rachael, tell us more about what you do.
As the title, my name's Rachael, teacher, healer and mystic. And I am a healer, a teacher, and as you can imagine, a mystic, which is all things woo-woo. And I teach from a really logical place as well as a really emotional place. So I like to have that balance between intuition, feeling, gut instinct, and what makes sense, and psychology and all of that type of thing. So that's where I am, is somewhere in the middle of those 2 things.
And I've just been reminded of when I first met you. I think I said to you, you were the least woo-woo person I'd ever met. And what I meant by that was like, you're so down to earth, and
good.
That made learning with you really, really easy for me, because I'm very logical. I wouldn't say I'm grounded, but I'm very logical. And yeah, so I remember thinking that you and saying that to you, you're the least woo-woo person that I know. But yeah, that was a compliment.
And I take it. I know, it's really good.
Yeah, just because you're so like down to earth and, you know, really, yeah, it's real stuff. It's real stuff. And I know that you and one of another of our members, Nikki Gorman, have a group called Real World Spirituality, which I have the privilege to be part of. So do contact Rachael or Nikki about that if you're interested in developing your spiritual awareness, your spiritual learning, and your spiritual gifts. Having said that, there's lots of wonderful spiritual teachers in this group. So it's also about finding the right person for you, isn't it?
It totally is. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got a few people here. Hi, Gemma. Yeah, this is your favorite, isn't it? Emma. Hi, Tracy. Shalina. Yeah, and I can't see everyone's names. So hello to everyone that's here. We've got quite a few people on, which is amazing. So we are going to be doing our favorite magical manifestation check training. Now, magical manifestation checks are the most valuable pieces of paper you will ever hold in your hand, right? I know that, Rachael, you've experienced this, and lots of you that are here have experienced the magic and the value of these pieces of paper. I personally have used it. I've been using them for 2 years now, and in the first year I tripled my monthly income. And I've continued to increase and increase. And I'm writing pretty scary checks at the moment. And they're getting paid, which is amazing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We've had lots of new members come into the group recently. We've gone up from 666, which is a very magical number. Today, just before we went live, I checked and we've got 854 women.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and my mission, my current mission, is to reach 1 million women with this work, because I believe that when we empower ourselves through money, we will do amazing things to bring the world back into balance. And magical checks are one of the ways that we can do this for ourselves. Okay. Yeah, someone's saying a massive jump. Yeah, it's a massive jump. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So magical manifestation checks, like I said, these are the most magical, most valuable, and the most powerful pieces of paper you will ever hold in your hand. And each month we walk through the process on how to do this. And I've been doing this on my own for a while, and I thought it would be a really good idea for someone who's been using these and also comes from a much more spiritual background than me to talk about ways that we can supercharge the power of these checks, because They are magical just as they are, but they can be even more magical. And that's what Rachel's here to join us for. So literally, they are cheques like you would have in your checkbook. And what they actually are is a manifestation tool. They are a way of setting an intention and drawing it towards you. Okay, they are different from goal setting because goal setting tends to be really, really big. And when it comes to setting the goal for money, you have to balance it. It's about getting the right amount of tension, and it can take a little bit of practice, as I've found out. How about you, Rachel? Have you found that you've made a few mistakes with your goals?
Yes, I have. And, you know, there's always those kind of like side things that come in and you're like, okay, I can see a practical reason why that hasn't paid out because I needed to do that before I did that. And now it all makes sense. But yeah, I've kind of got to the point where I just, a figure randomly pops into my head and I randomly write it down. That's where I am. And I've kind of lost that fear of, oh my God, if I add another 200 on, you know, all of that, you know, that bit where you're kind of biting your teeth about 200. And now it just feels, you know, if it pays out, it pays out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's what I want. I want that amount. And the universe is telling me I can have that amount. So that's what's getting written on the check.
Yeah, and that detachment from it is really important, I believe. We've talked about this before, but you know, you can really hang on to what you want to manifest, and actually it changes the energy from something positive into something flat and like, you know, it's like when you have to repeat affirmations 1,000 times a day. Affirmations work if you use them with that consistent energy. If you're saying them 1,000 times a day, you start going, you can just hear the flatness, can't you?
Yeah.
One of the great things about the cheques is you can write it, set it aside. You don't forget about it, but it sort of creeps into your mind by osmosis, doesn't it? So you've got the right vibration, and it's really, really powerful. So let's go through the process like we always do, because I like to be very logical, even though I'm very magical as I'm learning. So you literally write a check. Now you can buy these checks from my website. I will pop the details on the screen in a bit, or you can download a free, it's called a magic check. If you Google magic check, you can download a free PDF. These, by the way, these checkbooks are divine, aren't they, Rachel?
I love them.
I could just stroke mine all day. It feels beautiful. And one of our lovely ladies, Ainsley Chivers, in the group actually created these for me. And they have a beautiful perforation, better than most checkbooks
She's done a wonderful job with them. I love using it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the paper is nice and heavy too. And if you're like me, and I'm not going to do it for this because I always get in a mess when I use my fountain pen, but if you use a fountain pen, it won't bleed on the page. So, you know, that was really important when we created them. So just as with a normal check, you write the date. Now, when we write the date, you need to think about this is the date that you want it to get paid. So not today, although that would be really nice. The universe needs a little bit of time. You need to magnetize things towards you, and that can take a bit of time. So I do this monthly. Some women do it in the moon cycle. I think you do it in the moon cycles, don't you, Rachel?
I tend to do new moon to new moon, yeah.
Yeah, so moon cycles. Some people do it in quarters. I know Tracy's here. She writes a quarterly check because that's how she runs her business. So, but you need a bit of a run up, okay? A week might not be enough unless you're a really super fast manifester. I am not a super fast manifester. I am a slow and consistent manifester. There isn't anything I haven't manifested, but it takes time for me to build up to it. But some people can just think of something and it arrives. So, you know, you have to find your sweet spot with that. So I'm going to write mine. I don't know if you've got one there, Rachel. I'm going to write mine for the 31st of October. But before I do, what I always do, and I know you love doTERRA oils, I get the wild orange.
Oh, I've got some.
Yeah, which is the oil of abundance. Because what we want to do is be really high vibe. Yeah, really high vibe when we do this. So I put a drop of oil in my hand. I rub it. And I'm probably just going to zone out for a few moments here, ladies. Oh, yeah. And the thing about wild orange is it's really zingy and relaxing at the same time. It's like high vibe but low stress. It's just, it's top and bottom, isn't it? It's lovely.
It's really good stuff.
Yeah. And there's a visualization that I do called Meet Money. And some people actually say they can smell orange when they do the visualization, like it's a scent of money that comes through as orange for them. And then I also make sure that I have a little piece of citrine.
Nice.
Love a bit of citrine. Citrine is a powerful manifester, isn't it, Rach? It's a quartz to start with, so it's very energetic.
It's highly energetic, and it comes in on some of those lower chakras, so it makes all sense to do with humanity and manifesting and creativity and energy. And I mean, it looks energetic, it looks zingy and sparkly and all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, this one actually does look like wild orange, because it's quite orange. You probably can't see it in the light. There's lots of orangey bits in it. And there are different types of citrine. I like these orangey ones. So these are the ones that I use for intention setting. So I always make sure that's by my checkbook. And what this does, the oil and the citrine, it creates like a repeatable process, a ritual, like a preparation for our energy, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, it's an anchor, and we go into that, and it's something that we recognize, and creating rituals and routines are a really important part of spiritual work and money work, which is very spiritual. When I first started doing this, I didn't realize how spiritual money work was, because of course, if you're spiritual, you're not supposed to make loads of money for some reason.
Yeah.
But actually, it's really spiritual. It's really earth magic-y as well. It's really it's got its roots here, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And I always write with a beautiful pen, whether it's my beautiful feather pen or not a cartridge pen, but a fountain pen, or a sparkly rose gold one, which I love. So I always use a really posh pen. So I write the date, 31st of October, 21, on the cheque. Okay. And then I write my name where it says payee. And then I think about the number. And this is something that a lot of people ask me questions about. And when I started, I was writing cheques for £3,000. That was what I started with. But not everyone is where I was. Some people are used to bringing in less money. Some people are used to bringing in way more. This works on every level, which is amazing. So, Rachel, can you remember what you wrote your first cheque for?
Oh my God, I think it was something like £350. Because that's where I was at that time, where if I could earn £350, it'd be better than the 150 I think that I'd done the month before. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that was actually a really big jump up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like double and a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And remind me, what is your sacred money archetype?
It's alchemist.
Alchemist. So alchemists can go really big and then contract really small. And that's why you might have had that period of time where you're thinking, I can't write that check, I can't write that number. But now you're sort of leveling out with it.
Yeah.
I'm a ruler, and that means that my ruler doesn't believe anything's consistent. Like, I've written the same check for 3 months now, and it's been paid and some for 3 months. And I'm still thinking, I might just write the same amount again this month. So it's a very unique thing. Your number is a very unique thing. And what I recommend is look at what you're already bringing in and maybe add 10% and see how that feels. And what you're looking for is not an overwhelm, okay? Because when you set huge money goals, your subconscious mind switches you off to them. Your subconscious mind is designed to protect you. And we've learned all these awful things about money, haven't we, Rachel? About how it's horrible, dirty, root of all evil. I know you've got. I hope you don't mind me sharing this. You're Roman Catholic. You were brought up as Roman Catholic, weren't you?
Yeah.
So there's lots of stories about money in that religion, isn't there?
Yeah, and also about you giving away. As you might have some, but then you don't keep it. You give as much as you can to the church as well at the same time. So apart from those beliefs, there's also those habits, which is I should be donating every Sunday, and and most people would have to stretch themselves in order to donate what they would think was a suitable amount for the Sunday plate. So yeah.
Yeah, and that creates really negative emotions around money, doesn't it? Guilt, shame, secrecy, you know, and that's true, I think, in a lot of religions, if not all of them. And if you haven't been brought up in a religion, or you're not religious, society does it for us as well. Society totally does it for us. You know, we get told that rich people are mean. Again, we hear that money's the root of all evil, even if we don't have a religious upbringing. You know, we see the corruptness that money can create, but we're never shown the beauty that it can create as well. So we end up with a very fixed mindset about money, and money is a fundamental need. So there's a lot of yucky stuff tied up with it. There's a lot of yucky stuff tied up. And yet when we lighten it, oh, it feels lovely, doesn't it? It completely transforms when we change the way we feel about it. I'm just going to check the comments. Oh, there's lots of you. Hi, Joe. Thank you for joining. I think, Joe, you are our newest member, lovely. So welcome. Gemma loves these checks. They are amazing, aren't they? Yeah, they are gorgeous, Shalina. I'm super proud of them. They're amazing. Yeah, Gemma, yeah, the new moon to new moon is a really good idea, isn't it? If you work with the moon, it absolutely makes sense that you could, instead of using months like me, you could use the lunar cycles. Absolutely. I have tried lunar cycles, but my head is too crazy. So I need like the end of the month. I have to remember that. I know when that is. The moon changes every month. Okay. We've got, it's new moon next week. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And someone says that Sarah says she's an alchemist. Yes, there's lots of alchemists in this group, lots of nurturers as well. And someone, I don't know who you are, sorry, lovely. Oh, I'd be interested to see which archetype I am. There's a link on the welcome post, but I'll also post it here so that you can go and do that. It's a free assessment. You can go and find out what your archetype is. It's really useful because you start seeing your own patterns from a different point of view. So the number that you write is, it's really hard. I wish I could tell you it's this plus this. It's not. It's about, does it make you feel completely overwhelmed? If so, that's way too much, because your subconscious mind is going to protect you from it. Your subconscious mind is going to take on board all of these stories that you've been told, and it's going to think that money is unsafe for you to have. Okay? If money makes you mean and it's the root of all evil, you don't want to be mean, you don't want to be evil, so your subconscious mind's going to push it away from you. That's the whole point, is to keep you safe. And it will do that in a number of ways. It will stop money coming to you. It will send money to someone else, like your husband or your sister or your dad. Or it will send you the money and then something will happen that means that almost that exact amount of money goes out the door. And I often talk about, I got some money, I think I got an inheritance. As soon as I got it, I bumped my car. It was the exact amount. It was the exact amount. The beautiful thing about these checks is if they get paid, it's amazing. If they don't get paid, it's still amazing, because two things would have happened. You would have understood about your number, how right your number is. Actually, three things would have happened. You will have likely increased the amount of money that you've welcomed into your life that month just by setting, even if you didn't get the full amount paid, you will likely have increased it. And the third one is, if it doesn't get paid, it's an indicator that you have a block of some sort. Once you know you have a block, you can go looking for it. Once you find it, that's 80% of the work done. Because you can work with it and go, oh, I know what that is now. And we've had many conversations, haven't we, Rachel, where you've gone, oh yes, yeah. I know where that's come from now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So write your number on your check. Write it in full words. I'm going to do that now. So I'm having a quick chat with my ruler here, because she's like, don't write a bigger check. Do you know what? I'm going to do it.
Good, because I was going to say, write a bigger check.
Yeah. So I'm writing big checks now, ladies, and I wish it was all profit. It is not all profit. The business takes up a lot of the income. And honestly, these checks were so far away from even my goal, my long-term goal. So don't look at my check and think, oh my God, that's a lot. And don't judge me if it's not a lot for you, because there are women in this group that they'll go, is that it? Okay. Your number is your number. It doesn't matter. Okay. So you know that my ruler is playing up and it doesn't want me to write a bigger check. So I have written a bigger check. The last 3 months I've been writing 15,000 and I've just written one for 60.
Okay.
Now there's a really cool law of attraction tip that you can do to really supercharge your check, and that is to write the words or more after the amount. And what that does, actually, you know, the first time I did this, my check got paid double. And so I write or more on the line, and then I write a plus sign next to the number. I am going to rewrite this one because I've made a right old hash of this one. Okay. So what you're doing then is saying to the universe, okay, if you have to send me more, I'll accept that. You know, and it also opens your mind to the future checks that you might write. Now, here's the bit that I really wanted Rachael to get involved in, and this is, why do you want the money? Okay. Most of us decide what we want because of something we don't want. Okay, like it might be that I want to be able to afford to have a cleaner each week. It's because you don't want to do the cleaning. Do you see what I mean? But Rachael has an amazing process for getting to what you want. It's called the 7 desires, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah. So this 7 is one of the magical numbers. 3 is probably another magical number from the song. It's quite true, but 7 is another really magical number, which resonates with a whole load of things within the universe. So if you're into law of attraction, 7's a really important number to work with. So the 7 desires work on not what you need in your life, but what you want, what you desire. So we're working on the basic concept here. My needs will be met. My basic needs will be met. What do I want in addition to that? And so it might be an actual thing. It might be an emotion. So I want my money this month to come easily or with joy or with love. And that can be one of your 7 desires. And I've actually got one of my checks that I've got here. And I've written some words on the back of it. You probably can't see because it's coming through on the other side. But I've used pink pen on this one because that's what kind of a mood. It's a pink sparkling pen. I'm not generally a pink sparkly girl, but that's what mood I was in when I prepared this one. So I've written down things like fun, quickly. But I don't want it to come quickly and it not to be easy and love. So I've written all of that on the back. And it may be that there's some actual things that you want in your life. So like that, as we were talking there about the cleaner, most of us will look at money and go, I want money, but what is it that the money's actually providing me? What is it that that's for? It's for security. It's for the ability. It might be something as small as I want to be able to go out for lunch and coffee with my friends once a week, twice a week, and not have to worry about it. It might be something bigger, like I've got a holiday. I want a holiday, or I want 2 holidays this year, and writing that down, and actually writing down 7 things. You can do it on the back of your check. The other thing that you can do is to do it and keep it with your check as well. This is what I want the money for. I want the money for 7 things. I mean, you can really go into a lot of detail about applying 7s to different areas of your life. But if you're applying it to money, what are the 7 big things that you want? And keep going. You might go, I can't think of another thing. You will. Even if you think, I'm going to go off, make a cup of tea. I swear, by the time you've gone off, made your cup of tea, you'll be like, that's what the other thing was. There is something else that I want, you know, I want the extra money for. So it's to do with focusing on what you desire, not what you need. And that's a completely different vibration. It brings in a much higher vibration, and it allows you to bring in money that comes in on that higher vibe. So as we were talking earlier about, I don't want, you know, the money feels yucky and it feels dirty. And actually, when you start applying it to real life things, like one of my things is I would like additional money for my children to be able to go to a private school. My kids have got additional needs, and they really would flourish in a certain type of private education. Having extra money in order to do that, that's a really good reason. That's a really good. I don't need that. They're getting educated. It's functioning and it's all doing well. I don't need it, but I would like that because I would like my children to flourish. So it doesn't matter how big or how even selfish you might think, oh my God, like I can't believe I've written that on there. That feels a little bit selfish for me. Write it on there. You're allowed to be selfish. That's the whole point of the 7 desires. So you might write it on the back of your check. You might have it on a nice piece of paper and slot it in behind your check or next to your check, wherever you keep it up. And the idea is that you're attaching that desire and that passion and all of when you think about what you want, that feels a lot nicer than paying the lecky bill or paying the whatever bills come in. There's a completely different vibration which will raise everything up. So I'm expecting my basic needs to be met, and this is the extra stuff. This is the icing on the cake. Cake looks fine and it tastes fine with no icing, but I want some extra icing. I want sprinkles and I want all of that stuff. So it's a way of really elevating what you're doing into a different vibration and thinking about your needs and your wants. And I think we all know that as women, we tend to kind of put our needs last. And actually, this is to do with what we want, and what we need are 2 different things. So this will really help you as well if you're somebody who struggles to put their needs first, or even struggles with boundaries and things like this. You won't realize that by doing this type of work, you're subconsciously setting these intentions within your head, which is actually, I need a bit more me time. I need more time, even I want to go out and meet my friends for lunch, or I want to do more work. I want to work more. I take joy in the work that I do. It brings this wonderful energy into it, which is, like I said, it's just going to elevate what you're doing and take it into a different dimension. I always think of like the first run on a temple. You've built your temple. It's a very basic temple, and now you're looking to put on the second story, which is getting higher and it's getting a little bit more fancier. That's how I kind of think of it in my head when I think about the foundations of needs and desires.
Yeah, I really like that. I was writing down some things on my check because I was thinking, what do I actually want this money for? And I've written down, because like at the moment, I'm in a beautiful space where I don't want for anything. There's stuff that I want, but it's not like my needs are all really, really well met. So I wrote that actually this really made my heart tingle when I wrote it, that I want to reach, this money will help me reach 100 extra women this month. And it will I'll be feeling, can't read my own writing, feeling like I'm heading towards my purpose.
Yes.
That's really important to me, that my soul is happy.
Yeah, and it's that thing about knowing that what you want to do with your life in terms of your work, or the things that you enjoy, the things are your mission. That's they're your life's purpose. What's the meaning of my life? It's to do what you want to do, because that's what you came here to do. So yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. And I wrote that, ladies, if you're wondering, there's a section on the check and also the stub where you can write your desire for manifestation. And it doesn't matter how neat these are. I mean, I'm a recovering perfectionist, so this one will get rewritten. So I don't always succeed with my recovering perfectionism. But that's where you put your desire. So, because it's actually weirdly easy to forget what you desire when you get in the moment of the kids, the house, the cooking, the job, the business. It's really hard to forget, what did I actually want that money for, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, and it completely changes your outlook. It completely changes the way that you look at the check, or the way that you're thinking about what you want. And everyone's wants and desires are going to be completely different, and that's wonderful. That's exactly how it should be.
Yeah, but hopefully you can see, ladies, the difference between a want. When I wrote that, and I thought, what do I want that money for? I thought, oh, I can use that to fund advertising. But that's not sexy or fun or warm and fuzzy feeling. Like, that's not going to raise my vibe. Wow, Facebook ads. I struggled. There are people here that will get excited by Facebook ads. I
There
am
are.
not one of
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Bless them. Yeah.
You know, so what does being able to fund advertising mean for me? Well, that's
Yeah.
what it means for me. It means I can reach more women and
Yes.
you know, get closer to my goal. So I have seen your question, lovely. I don't know who you are, but there's a question in there that came in at 4:49. I'm going to come back to that because what Rachel mentioned was putting your 7 desires in your check somewhere that you can see it. And it's really important to do that. So I put mine on this little mini easel, and then and I'll be putting my 7 desires either on the back. I have to think about how I'm going to approach that, on the back or on a different piece of paper. And then I put it just here to the left of me. And what I say is, it's like it's cooking. It's cooking. Like I'm warming up to it. You saw, I literally felt repulsed writing that number down because it's only a little bit bigger, but it felt so big and scary. And I have to remind myself, like, even if it doesn't get paid, it's going to benefit me, you know, in one of those 3 ways. And what you need to do is not hide it away, but you don't need to look at it and will it into being every single day. That's not how this manifestation works. It's about just having it in your eye line as much as possible. And very soon, I'll be like, oh, okay, that'll be fine. I won't be like I am now. In a couple of days, maybe a week, I'll be okay with that check. And what that does is it opens up your subconscious mind to the possibility that that money is coming to you. And once something's possible, it's only a short step to probable. And when something's probable, it's only a short step to inevitable. And that's how you warm up your magic check. And that's how you're constantly manifesting without having to hold on to it and keep your energy high. It's just there in the background. You can pop it on your fridge. You can pop it in your diary. Where do you keep yours, Rachel?
On top of my money box, which has got little money spider charms on it, and
Yeah.
it sits on that. So yeah.
Yeah. And how often do you see that in a day?
God, several times, and probably a lot of the time it is subconscious. Like I won't be aware of it. I would have reached up onto that shelf for something else, or to move something, or literally even just by walking past it. So God, yeah, like probably half a dozen times a day I see it, but I'm not necessarily focusing on it. Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Yeah. And it's not hard work, is it? It's not.
No.
You don't have to, like, I need to stare at it for here. For me to get to have I counts whether like whether you and I and I do. Month. That's just
Yes. So his which into and I'm not on. Past. Need to claim family. I got the side into I've written what I've done. I did the other month. I'll tell you the story. I did myself a cheque for £250 for the day, and I was like, I made it really clear on the back of the cheque. I was like, this is not as a result of clients coming to me afterwards. This is what I want in my pocket on the day, universe. This isn't, I want, a client booking in 2 weeks later because they spoke to me then. This is what I want to walk away with. So it got to about 7:30 and we were shutting up at 8, and I was there with my friend and I totted it all up and I was like, oh, £244, I'm £6 off. And my friend went, well, that's this that I've taken from you. She said, that was £6. And I said, oh, it's fine. That's my 250. Yay. At that moment, a lady then came up because, it was like we'd done an exchange rather than any money. A lady then came up and said, "Oh, I really want some of that. Can I have that?" And it was £6. My friend literally turned around to me and went, "You effing witch," in front of the client. I was because I literally had that conversation, set the intent, and the last £6 that I needed for that 250 from the day came in. I was like, this is minimally what I need. So I've then written checks for literally for everything that I've booked up for the rest of the year, that I've set firm dates on, because this is the icing on my cake. This is the extra bits and pieces, because of I also know that if I know what I'm like, and I'm probably going to start, because I have got accumulator somewhere in the background, the more money that I'm earning monthly, if I start doing myself a monthly check, I'm going to push it. And I'm really happy with the level of business I've got, because I've got other things in the pipeline that I want to develop and do. And I know that I'm going to swap that out for clients rather than the long-term goal. And I don't want to do that. So, I would personally try to get your head around the icky feeling. And if I give you, maybe even like me saying to you, like, you have permission to take that money and to run with it and say, I'm entitled to it. And like, I've wrote that I had £1,000 payout from the government over COVID, the local government over COVID. And I wasn't entitled to anything, but the local council had money left over, and they revisited applications and they gave me what they thought was a small grant of 1,000. I was like, oh my God, I desperately needed the money at that point. I desperately needed it. So, just be open. Whereas the thought process that I've got is, if you say you start dividing stuff up, those little windfalls, like £1,000 from like a grant, the universe might go, well, that's all coming from the government, so we don't want any of that stuff. So we're not going to get any of that stuff. And actually, it's still some of it might be your icing on the cake. So I would personally try to align yourself with that energy that you're entirely entitled to it.
And it's really hard. I've been on benefits myself. It's really hard not to feel really icky about that. But there's a lot to be grateful for when it comes to benefits. Gratitude that we live in a country, and most of us live in countries where there is some sort of support. Huge gratitude, because without that money, I dread to think what would happen to our kids and us. And like, it's hard to feel gratitude about money that feels yucky, but if you can change that vibration into one of gratitude, if you're on benefits or you're claiming support from the government, what does that enable you to do? Does that enable you to have light in your house, watch Facebook on your phone? Actually, you know what, these are things to be grateful for. Does it mean you can feed and clothe your kids? Okay, not as easily, but if you didn't have that money, it would be a lot harder. And so I think there is a lot to be grateful for. This is how, when I first came out into the world, I've been on income support, which, that's how long ago it was. And I can remember that feeling. And I wish I'd felt the gratitude, because I think it might have sped things up for me. But I know it's hard. I've been there. I know it's hard not to feel like, oh, why is it not working for me? Why have I have to go back to this? But we live in places, most of us, thankfully, that there is support if we need it. And that's amazing. That's an amazing thing, isn't it? That's an amazing thing. Now, Rachel, I think we've lost the feed to the page where lots of ladies were watching. I've been trying to reconnect it, but for some reason it's gone.
Into your page?
Into the page, it's completely gone, and I've just got a red eye, and it's not letting me reconnect at all. I'm not sure why that is. So we're just in the group. No one can hear me except for the ones that are in the group. Thank you, lovely ladies, for staying with us. What I will do is I'll reshare this I'll download it and share it on the page so people can watch it as well. Yes, so that was a bit of an issue. Good old tech. It's Mercury retrograde, isn't it? So
it is Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. You're still here. You're still with us. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're in the group, aren't you, Sarah? Looking at your the way it's come up for you. So it looks like we've lost the feed to the page, but never mind, we'll get there. So let's just carry on, because we're going to be resharing this. So yeah, really important to think about how you want to go about writing the checks, and decide, do you want to do one check, or do you want to do one bit for one bit of your business and another bit for something else in your life and another bit? But it's not a completely foolproof process. You have to learn what works for you, don't you?
Absolutely.
I made mistakes. I went too hard too fast, and then I had a few months in the desert, let's say, when I first started. But I learned a lot from that. Okay, but the majority of checks do get paid, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. And you will learn how hard you can push yourself. You will learn how fast you can manifest, and you will learn how much consistency you need. Some people might manifest £100 this month, £1,000 next month, £10,000 a month after, and they're off. I have to do it incrementally, even though I know deep down I'm capable of manifesting lots of money in lots of different places. I still have to take it baby steps because of my archetype and my personality, frankly. I always think it's my ruler, and I always think it's a fluke. Even though it's happened month on month on month on month on month on month, it's still a fluke. The fact that all of these women are in this group, it's a fluke. It was an accident. It was an accident. The fact that my clients keep coming, that's an accident. It's a fluke. So I have to manage that side of my money personality. Now, what do? Well, like I said, you sit and you let it cook. Somewhere you're going to see it regularly, but you don't have to will it into being. Then at the end of the month, or the end of the lunar cycle, or the end of the quarter, whenever you're writing checks, what you need to do is look everywhere for your money. Okay, look everywhere. A lot of times ladies in the group have said, oh, my magic check didn't get paid, and I say, have you looked everywhere? And then they go and they look in a different bank account. Or really common is there's lots of us here in doTERRA, and the points rack up really fast, don't they? And I checked mine the other day, and there was £200 worth of points. So that was £200 worth of oils that I could buy without spending a fortune, without spending anything, actually. So that counts. Look in the bank accounts. And so one thing that I did was at the time I had 2 businesses, and the money from my other business didn't count. And what I realized was I'm actually going, sorry, universe, wrong door. I mean, really? Just be open. Just be open to receive. Be open to receive. There's a card about that, a lotus flower. But the asking's the easy bit. The writing the check's the easy bit. Being open to receive it and see it is the hard bit. Okay. And, you get your check paid and you might feel really, really excited, or you might feel guilty. You might think, oh, crap, did I do the right thing earning that money? And that really shines a light on your money story. So when it gets paid, what do you do, Rachel? When they get paid, what do you do with your check?
Interestingly, I saved all of mine up. I didn't quite know what to do with them. I had them in my little pretty ball clips that I've got, and I had it in with my books. Actually, every time I did my books, and I told it, I'm going to put it in there. I was like, oh, what am I going to do with them? Funnily enough, we've just gone through Mabon, which is an energetic part of the year. So we are affected by the energy of the year. We all know, if you're self-employed, you know that people respond differently depending on what's going on, whether the sun is shining or not. All of those things affect what people spend money on and when they spend it and all of that type of thing. So it got to Mabon, and I was like, oh, what do I want to do? And I was like, oh, okay, I've got all of these checks that are here that have either paid out or partially paid out. This is all of my evidence of my abundance. And, years ago, you would have had your harvest. You'd have gone, here's all my turnips, and here's my whatever else, raspberries wouldn't have even got that far. You'd have eaten the raspberries that you picked up. But, this is all my abundance. These are all my turnips and my corn and stuff for the winter. I need to put some aside for winter, and I'm so grateful for everything that I've got. And I was like, oh my God, I'm grateful for all of these checks. And what I did was, I burnt them, and I had my 6-year-old, which don't get me wrong, there was absolute health and safety in play, helped me burn them, and we burnt them up, and I sent that energy out via smoke. I released all of that abundance. So here is the evidence of my crop. My crop, I'm sending it out into the universe to say thank you, and to kind of like the energy is within the check. So you're kind of like releasing the energy from the checks at the same time. And when you release it, what you're doing is you're letting it go out into the ether. And depending on your mindset, and my mindset and Eloise's is the same, I'm sure it's the same for loads of you ladies, is a really collaborative one. Like we want to raise each other up. So I want that energy to go out to help other people, help them feel abundant, for them to breathe in that smoke. They might be miles away, but to breathe it in on some level, and to pick up on that abundance. And what we know is that if other people are abundant, they're going to make money, and eventually that's going to find its way back to me. I can't hoard that, and I can't keep my, that stash of, my stash of checks, my stash of my crop. I can't hoard that. That's not going to see me through to the winter in that state. I need to preserve it. And actually the way to preserve a check is actually to burn it and to let the energy go out. So that's something that I'm going to do. It might be that I do it again, maybe around springtime, that I keep all my checks and do them again around springtime, because it's the equinox, which is this balance energy, is the not the full equinox. It's like have I used the right term? Not the equinox. Yeah, equinox.
Do you mean, yeah. Yeah, the equinox is just what we've gone through, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So Maybon's, I've written it down somewhere. It's in some of my notes. My brain's a bit fuzzy.
It's okay.
Today. So basically it's about balance, and it's about bringing everything into alignment.
Ostara.
That will be Easter. And then so Maybon will be the one we just, but they're equivalent of each other. So Ostara, equilibrium, yes, Tracy, absolutely. Ostara and Maybon are the equivalent of each other through the year. So they're these balance points where the day and the night are the same. So yeah, absolutely. So spring equinox will be the next time that I do it. I know when it is. I just can't remember the name of the next one. I couldn't. Is it equinox? It is equinox. Yeah. For some reason, I overthought it. No, it's the solstice. I was getting it. Brain's gone.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean. So yeah, it's the equinox. Yeah.
Yeah. And different people will feel called to do different things with their checks at different times of the year, depending on when they were born as well, won't it?
Yes.
Won't they? So like for me, I keep all of my checks that have been paid and burn the ones that don't get paid. And I keep them for when I'm feeling in a bit of a money funk. And what I do is I get them out, and it's like their energy comes back to me. And then I start putting more energy out, more money energy out. And that works really, really well for me. The ones that don't get paid, I write huge gratitude over them. Here's one that did get paid. It did get paid, but I write huge gratitude over them anyway. And then I burn it in my little mini cauldron, which I know everyone loves.
I love that cauldron.
And when I burn it, I'm burning it with gratitude to release so that it doesn't stay in my environment, because I'm quite sticky with negative energy and I have to work quite hard to sort of push it off. And it's not that the checks that don't get paid aren't negative, but it's easy to feel a bit downtrodden on the rare occasion one doesn't get paid. So I release it with huge gratitude, and again send the smoke out into the universe. So I'm sending out my gratitude for what it's done for me, even though it didn't get paid, and inviting more back in. And I would say that whatever you do, whether you burn them when they get paid or burn them when they don't get paid, or just rip them up or shred them, or whatever you do with them, make sure as soon as you've done it, it's outside of your house. That feels really important to me. Like, especially if they didn't get paid, you want to move that outside your house as fast as possible. So don't leave it in your bin for weeks on end. Take it out, bury it, put it in the bin, but take it outside. Why does that feel important to me, do you think, Rachel? Is it just clearing up the energy?
If you do spell work and you clear negative energy, you don't want to keep that. So say, for example, you might do some don't get me wrong, like I will do candles, I will throw everything at my checks. So say, for example, if I felt like that funk that you've spoken about, I personally do like a candle to get rid of my funk, burn away all my funk. The remnants of that I wouldn't want in the house. I normally throw a bit of salt into some newspaper, put it in, wrap it up, and it sits by the front door. And the next time somebody goes out, or you go out for a walk in the evening, take that with you, and I bung it in a public bin. That's what I do. And it makes, because you want it's the physical act of removal. So when you do something energetic, and we remember that our emotions are energy, like they're the energy that we work with every day. So, you know, when you write your check, you're making it physical. You bring it into the physical. You're saying, I don't just think I want money. I'm making it physical, like I physically want money. And it's the same with what you've just done there, which is I need to physically move it. So it's the act of physically moving it away, which kind of like supports the energetic and the psychological that this is moving away from me. So it is, it does make absolute sense. The other thing that is a really top tip, if you get a check, particularly a big check, and it feels big for you and however that looks, and it pays out, is to give back. So it might be that you haven't got a lot of money, and that is a random act of kindness, or you might go through your store cupboard and go, actually, there's a load of stuff here, I can take down the food bank. Like I bought those and the kids don't like it, or whatever it is. Putting money into charity. I'm one for the next charity, which is hard during COVID, but the next charity box I come along, I'll put a £5 in that. I won't just put the change in my purse, I'll put a £5 in it. So when my check paid out for Pride, I then went in afterwards and put in a donation into Pride. Don't get me wrong, I paid for my table anyway, but I then put my donation into Pride because that made absolute sense to me. So it's showing the universe that you're grateful. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do other stuff, like probably like put some whiskey out in the garden for the fairies. I'll do a whole load of weird stuff, but showing that gratitude to the universe, which is I am grateful, and this is how I show my act of gratitude, is by putting the money in the same way my nan used to put money into the church, because that's where she channeled all of her energy. You're channeling your energy into your environment and your community.
I just want to yeah, I mean, I love that, and I do the same. I often there's a delay between me receiving money and giving money. It takes me a while to figure out where I want to put it, but I find I'm more generous, because you can afford to be when you have more money, can't you? But I want to say just a word of warning to the alchemists, and you know who you are in the group, and the nurturers. This doesn't mean you can give all your money away.
No, don't do that.
It's not about earning it so you can give it all away. It's just a small proportion of it, that like a token to the universe, that makes a difference. Because I know nurturers and alchemists will go, I've got all this money, I need to get rid of it.
Yeah, don't do that. Literally, I have got an accumulator as in the background, so that kind of goes, no, be sensitive about this, rein yourself in. But it is like normally for me, it's about like it's a £5 is what I always have in my head. A £5 always feels good. So somebody's just said they did 2 prizes to mental health charities after her check pay. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
So it's that's the way to do it. I love that.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And also, so one of the money magic foundations that I talk about is actually making space for money. And the way that you can do that is by clearing out your clothes, clearing out your drawers, and clearing off your shelves. There's loads of stuff that you could give. You don't have to give it all away, but I give some away, and then I sell. I get Mark to do it because I don't like selling stuff. That's weird. I don't like dealing with all the messages, but he then sells it on Facebook Marketplace. So I give a proportion of what I declutter and make in the process of making room for money, and then he sells some of it, so we make a little bit of money back as well. So that's another way that you can do it. Absolutely.
Do you know what I did? That I cleared out my jewelry box the other week. I gave it a nice clean up afterwards and all of that type of thing, but I went through all of my jewelry and got rid of what I didn't want. And it wasn't just, some of the stuff was really nice. And I was like, I haven't worn it. And I know I'm not going to wear it. But it did occur to me, I did think about you, and I thought Eloise would be proud. I've made more space for more lovely jewels to come into my life. And that's, at the end of it, it occurred to me that I'd done that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got a comment here. And your community trick or treating originated from the rich assessing their grain harvest and putting aside a proportion with which the poor could go and ask for. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because, having money doesn't make you mean. It gives you the means to be generous, and that's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. So when it comes to your check getting paid and not getting paid, whatever you do with it is right for you. Follow your instincts. You know, Rachel burns the ones that get paid. I keep them to raise my energy. I burn the ones that don't get paid. Neither's right or wrong. They're right for us. You know, and this is something that I've learned through working with Rachel and her friend and colleague Nikki, is like, just because I do it this way and Rachel does it that way doesn't mean you have to do it that way. It's about finding your own way to this magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also that will change throughout your lifetime, throughout the year, depending on where you are in your life and your cycle and your business and all of that. So me not burning my checks now might change in a year's time, you know. So don't worry about, you can't really get this wrong. Really, the only way to get it wrong is to go too big too quickly. Now, I'm a coach. I've been taught to go for big, hairy, massive goals, and that works. But with money, we're very, very sensitive to money. We have a lot of visceral, primal reaction to it. And so, you know, if it's too big, your mind's just going to switch off. It's not going to see the check sitting there. So it's about creating tension that is bearable and doing it your way. If having it on a stand or on top of your money box isn't working for you, find where it works for you. Maybe it's sticking it on the dashboard of your car, you know, because like I said, you don't have to look at it, it just needs to be in your environment. It's just, you know, figuring out what works for you, and share it with the group as well, because we love magic checks in here, don't we? We love them.
And it's that feeling of celebration, and that's a really wonderful energy. So we're really rubbish at celebrating ourselves, particularly
especially when it comes to money.
Yeah, particularly like the British, we are bad at it. So the more, even if you think, oh my God, I'm going to put it on and I feel a bit icky, do it, because it gives everyone else the opportunity to celebrate you, and it's almost gives you permission to be happy about it.
And also know that this group is a safe environment. It doesn't matter if your check is for single figures or six figures. We are here cheering you on. Like, I want you to succeed. I want you to practice this magical process until you get to where you want to be. You might not want to be where Rachel wants to be or where I want to be. So it doesn't matter if your first check is for what you feel is a low amount. Don't worry, post it in the group. We will do happy dances. Okay, we will all do happy dances for you. It's really, really important that we celebrate money and that we talk about money. I had a conversation with Tracy, who's here, yesterday, and I could hear my excuses about a new mobile phone. Just being able to have that safe space to have those conversations about money and to celebrate money, it makes a massive difference to how empowered we are around money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because money is one of the, if not the biggest taboos in our lifetime. You will know more about your friend's sex life than you will about their money life. And when you put it like that, like, really? That's crazy, isn't it? You know? So this is what this space is for. This is why I created it, is a safe space to celebrate checks, big and small, because it's all relative to where you are on this journey, right? So Tracy is saying, I'm keeping the paid ones because it makes me feel good. Yeah, exactly the same as me, Tracy. But I feel like that will change for me, and it might change back again because I'm quite changey. And she said, oh, so you're switching from quarterly checks to monthly checks. Excellent. So Tracy's been really, really consistent with her quarterly checks. So yeah, it'd be really good to test that for you, Tracy. Definitely, definitely. Now, if anyone's got any questions, it looks like a lot of you have come back and found us on the group, which is amazing. I don't know what happened to the page feed, but if any of you have got any questions for myself or Rachel, pop them into the chat. Rachel, would you like to share or add anything else about the magic checks, the magical manifestation checks?
I don't think so. I think I've kind of said everything as I go along. I think it's, we can probably be a bit blasé about the whole process and think, well, really, is it going to make that much difference? And it does. It sets a psychological intent. It sets an energetic intent. It's, your subconscious is the magical thing. your subconscious, your inner workings of your mind that most of us have got no idea what's going on back there, is the magical thing. That's the magical thing. And you're using, you know, a system that Eloise has worked with. Eloise is, you know, I've worked with Eloise for the last couple of years, and it's made a massive deal of difference to my life. I had major blocks and issues with money, and I've worked through those, and I can see that I can see the change, not just in me but in my other half as well, because, you know, he's for most people, he's going to come across as shy and retiring. You know, he's not somebody who's very good at celebrating himself and any of that stuff. So, you know, it will make a massive deal of difference. So even if you start doing it and you think it's not working and I'm not quite getting there, just keep going, because every single time you're reinforcing this intent into the universe, and you're going to find that little opportunities come up where the universe go, okay, so you've done your check for £500 this month, but you've said no to that. When, you know, if you'd said yes, and then, you know, it's those little things where you say yes to something that you would normally say no to, or and you go, oh my God, that's what's done it. I normally say no to that event or that thing, or I don't show up there, and I've shown up there this month, and it's that's pushed it over the edge. So it's those little things where you kind of get over stuff as you're going along it and get your head around things, and, you know, you have a weird conversation and you'll go, oh my God, that's what's stopping me from doing it, is I've got that attitude. So
yeah,
you're saying to the universe, I want this, you find a way of bringing this to me. And it might be that I need to change my outlook, or it might be that I need to look in new places, but it's really, really important to just keep going. And Tracy said that's why she switched to monthly, so it's more present. That makes total sense.
absolutely. And paying attention and seeing money is a really important part of this work. Whilst you were talking, something came to mind. There's a lady in this group. When I first met her, she was really struggling, and her first check that she wrote was for £200. I think it was £200. This month she got one paid for over £1,000, and it's probably only 3 or 4 months since I first met her, and she is just flown. When I started this, it took me 3, maybe 4 months to get my first check paid. Like, don't give up. If it doesn't work first time, don't give up. Like, they didn't get paid, but I was getting paid more. Like, I was getting closer and closer to my check every time. And it's really hard to explain, because it's a very magical process, but it's also a very practical process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you said, the magic actually creates the practical opportunities. Like, you see things you didn't see before, and then you welcome them in. And then all of a sudden, you've gone from struggling to not struggling to thriving eventually, you know? And here's the thing, it never gets easier. I wish it would get easier. We just get higher and higher levels. And you're probably starting to notice now, Rachel, that some of your old money blocks and stories that you identified before are starting to creep back in on a different level. And your checks will shine a light on that for you. You know?
Absolutely. It's that thing where I don't know, like, your energy feels like it's getting bigger, and it feels like the cobwebs that are up at the top, they previously didn't bother me, and now all of a sudden I'm touching them, and I need to kind of like dust that off and sort out what's going on there.
And they sometimes look exactly the same as cobwebs that you've got rid of before.
Yeah.
But they're on a different level.
They're on a different level.
It's like, damn it, I thought I dealt with this.
It's like the needs and the wants thing. You'd be like, oh my God, I didn't think about my needs and my wants separately. Like, I didn't think about needs and wants and desires. And, you know, there's this whole thing about self-worth, and there'll be one level of self-worth, and then you go, no, I'm a goddess. And I want to feel like a goddess, and I want to treat everyone around me like a goddess, and they're going to treat me like a goddess. And it's gone from like a self-confidence thing and a self-worth thing into on a whole other level. And you're like, oh my God, really? I have to, I don't know. Oh God, that feels a bit weird.
It's a bit scary, isn't it?
It's surely that's a bit arrogant. And then you have to kind of get your head around all of that stuff. So it does. As you're kind of like leveling up, and, you know, like when Super Mario has his mushroom and he levels up. It's the same process.
It is. And actually, that's a really interesting point. So It was an interesting point. It's gone out of my head.
You've caught my itis, my brain
Ah,
itis.
what was that? Rewind. What did you say?
So I
Mario,
spoke
before the Mario.
before the Mario. I spoke about self-worship and the
That's it.
goddess
Got it.
energy. Yeah.
Come back. So in this work, we talk about money, but actually it isn't about money, is it? It's actually about how you feel inside yourself. And there's that card that says your relationship with money is a reflection of your relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it works in both directions. So money can help you feel better about yourself. I wish it didn't. I wish we could uncouple it, but we don't. And we can't at this stage. But when we start treating money with more respect, we start treating ourselves with more respect, and then more money comes to us. So then we treat ourselves with more. And that is the beauty of this work. It is about the money, but it's not about the money. It's about how you feel. And when you feel connected to money and you know how to manifest money, everything changes, not just your money. Everything changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you're tuning into the, like, I don't want to be cliche and say the best possible version of yourself, but that's what you're doing.
It is what it is.
You're tuning into your authentic self. You're looking at yourself with fresh eyes, and literally, it will throw it up, and you go, "Why have I got that attitude about that? Like
Yeah.
that hard work attitude." That's why
Yeah.
everything is the word easy written on it. Like my parents were hard workers. Like I don't know about anyone else, but there's probably plenty of us whose parents were hard workers. My parents, working class, they bought a house, which, you weren't supposed to do stuff like that. They did all of that stuff, but they worked their backsides off to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I want my work to be easy and to feel stress-free. And then you're having to get your head around all of the stuff that comes with that. So it's those things that come up, and and all of a sudden you'll become aware of it. And you're like, why am I making this harder for my? We realized it with Matt, and I said to Matt the other week, like, when we had more money, you were really tight. You were really, really tight. And now I said we've got less money, and part of that's because of everything that's going on. And part of it's down to him, the income that he's currently bringing in. And I said, isn't that interesting? That even though you stopped being tight with your money, with the family, now you have to be tight because you've got no choice. Like you're still filling that space of this program in your head, which is, there's that we need to limit ourselves and money's tight, and that's come from his own upbringing. So it's all, we had that conversation, and honestly, it feels like that conversation's unpicked it, because, like I said, he said 3 job opportunities come up as we've had that conversation about money, and it is icky having those conversations about money with your other half and with friends and family, but do it, because you'll uncover their blocks, you'll uncover your own stuff, and you'll reset things that you're working together, or you're working as a team. It could be that you say to some friends, I really need some support, and I really I need to just talk about my money problems with you, or how those things. The more you talk about it, the more we remove that taboo, the easier it's going to be. Because that's always one of the things. You don't ask a lady her age, and you don't ask somebody how much they earn. Like, those are always.
I know, because it's rude, right? It's rude to talk about money. It is not rude. It is not rude here to talk about money. That's for sure. It's rude not to. But yeah, we're taught. That's another thing we're taught. It's rude to talk about money, and I don't want to be rude. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be seen as rude. It's tough, isn't it? But this is magical, isn't it? So if someone is watching and they've never written a magic check before, and they're thinking, sounds a bit too good to be true, what would you say to them?
I would say, what are you going to lose? Like, what are you going to lose by writing a bit of paper and sticking it on your fridge? Like, really? And if you're a bit embarrassed and you want to stick it on the inside of your wardrobe, or somewhere like that where you can see it every day when you open up your wardrobe door, then do it. But what are you going to lose? Just go for it. Just go for it.
Yeah. Someone said, I chatted with my partner about pricing today. He helped me see my self-worth, and I've doubled my fee. Oh my goodness. Amazing. Well done, lovely. Seriously, well done. That is, stepping into our worth is how we're going to have a ripple impact on the planet. Okay. And it doesn't matter what you do. If you're helping other people, they're going to help other people, and that's going to have a massive ripple effect. So, oh my God,
it's amazing. That's amazing.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, well done. Well done. And it is scary talking to people about money, like you said, but we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Oh, yeah, felt so good to send the email. Yes, yes.
And I remember putting and this is a while ago when I was first started realizing how bad my issues were with money. This is quite a few years ago. I was like, I need to put some of my prices up, and I irregularly have these conversations with Eloise still. Oh my God, I remember the first time that I put my prices up significantly. Yeah, like some of my clients didn't stick around, but the majority did.
Mm.
And I was working maybe the same hours or less, and for the same money or more as the kind of the months went on. And I was like, why didn't I do this before? This is ridiculous. I was, again, hard work ethic, like wringing myself to the bone in order to earn money. It completely shifted stuff for me. And honestly, for me, the first time I ever put my prices up, it was a deal breaker in terms of getting my head around money. So I'm really, really glad that you've done that. And also some men have less issues with money, so it's easier for them to, like, ask money and bonuses and pay rises and it get paid. So he probably won't have had as many blocks around that you did, and the two of you working together has created that. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point, men not having as many blocks, because men have had money for 3,000 years. Women have not had access to money until at the earliest, the middle of last century. In this country, we couldn't even open a bank account, according to The Guardian, without our father or husband's permission until 1975. That was only 3 years before I was born. That's less than 50 years ago. So it makes sense that women would have more blocks with money because men have had it for so long. It might not have been money, but they've had control over currency of some sort. So really, really good point there. Really good point. And I love that it felt good to send the email, because if you send the email with, oh my God, you're putting the wrong energy behind it.
Yeah.
Rachel, what happens to what type of clients do you get when you put your prices up?
You get clients that actually want to work with you and want to do the work and value your work and look at you in a completely different way. I mean, obviously, the type of work that I do, you could imagine there's a range of people that do my type of work. And I'm sure you've all met them, from people who might be like me, or people who are completely off the board, all the rest of it. And they've all going to have different attitudes towards money. So one of the things I do is healing, and I want people to take their healing seriously. Like, I want to change people's lives. Like, that is slightly egotistical of me, but that's what I want. I really want to help people, and it's not me. I want them to know that they've got the power to change their mind. I'm just going to show them the route to do it. And I got people who actually want to do that, who want to invest proper money in themselves. They're not investing that money in me. They're investing that money in themselves, because it's allowed them to value it and the work that I do in a different way. People are even treat me more professionally, value my time more, all of those things that I've always wanted. I'm an extroverted introvert. Does that make sense? Like, I like chatting, and then I like being quiet for several days as well, not speaking to people. That's me. So it's taken me a while to get to this point of like being confident and all of that type of thing. So it's been a journey, but that thing where you kind of go, oh, this is how much I value myself. Oh my gosh, they value me as well. They value me even more. Not just me, but the work. They value the work. So it's actually meant that I'm helping to change more people's lives because of that, which is that's what I want to do. That's my thing. So yeah.
And they're more open to it as well, aren't they? They're more open to what you do. There's a phrase that one of my coaches uses: people who pay attention, and people who pay more attention. And that, I've found that to be true. When I first started coaching, I think I was charging £35 an hour, which is very, very cheap.
Yeah.
And I suffered from cancellations, people not turning up. And the more I increase my prices, the less, in fact, I don't have last minute cancellations or no shows anymore, because they've paid and they want to pay attention, and they're open and they're ready to receive the work that I'm doing, that you're doing. And I wish I'd known that. I wish I'd known that, because it's really scary when you start thinking about putting your prices up. We jump in their purses and decide what they can and can't afford. I mean, really?
Yeah.
It's really patronizing of us, isn't it?
It is, you know, and there'll be some people I think, oh my God, I'm about to quote them something. And I will still think, God, what if they can't afford it? And I say it anyway, because that's, you know, that's what I need to do. This is my price. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, yeah, I can, you know, and I've got two options. I've got here's the upfront one, my main plan. Here's the upfront cost and it's cheaper. Here's the monthly one. What do you want to go for? And some people will go monthly and some people will go upfront. But it surprised me how many people will go, yep, I'll pay all of that upfront.
Yeah.
And I've got, wow, really? Wow. Okay. Yeah. And it's amazing that the stuff that you've got in your head, because, you know, you kind of, but actually what it's done is it's enabled me to look at the free stuff that I do with different eyes, because, you know, I still can do you know, like free webinars, free bits and pieces. That's still there. But it means that I'm getting paid what I should be getting paid for the work that I do.
Yeah. I have a top tip on increasing your prices. When you do it, go for 100 no's or 50 no's. Instead of going for the first yes, just go for as many no's in a row as you can get, because that completely changes your energy. And put a tally chart on the wall or Post-its.
I love that.
When someone says yes, they mess up your flipping system and you have to start again. But do you see how the energy is really playful? You know, if you're not feeling confident about your new fees, just go, I'm going to get 50 no's. That's my goal. You'll never get 50 no's. I promise you. You might get 49, you might get one, or you might get none, and anything in between. But as soon as someone's paid that price, you know. So go for no is my top tip. Make like, don't be an idiot about it, but just be like, it's cool, because my goal is to get 50 or 100 no's.
Yeah.
You know? It's like actually, reverse psychology.
It's a really good technique. My background is sales. I'm very good at selling other people's stuff. My blog, I don't know if others have the same thing. My blog is selling me. So I was always very good at selling for other people. But still, I always had that ethical edge to myself. Like because I know that people wanted what I had. So it was just about finding the right people. So I would do that. I wouldn't actually do the number of no's. Like, I wish I'd known that. I would have used that. It would just be like, another no is just getting me closer to that next person that's going to say yes to this. Exactly. So, it's a really, really good. I love that. I love that technique.
Yeah. It just makes, if the goal is no, and obviously it's meant to be playful, like, don't take it too seriously. Like, don't sabotage it. But when you start talking about your pricing, many of us get this physical betrayal, like the red rising, our heart pumping in our ears, the sweat on our brow. It's a physical betrayal of our body about how shit we feel about our prices. But if you go, well, it's fine, because I want to get another no on my board. You're like, so what do you think then? And they go, yeah. Because you haven't got caught up in that energy about your pricing, because you're going for a no rather than a yes. So now I can't even remember where I learned that, but it's a really clever trick.
I love that.
It's just so long as you don't take it too seriously. You don't want to manifest that, but you want to be playful with it.
My genuine aim is not for a no. My genuine aim is at some point that's going to turn into a yes, and it's going to be a hell of a lot less no's than I think it is.
Absolutely.
If I think it's going to be 20 no's, it will probably only be 5 in reality.
Yeah. Oh, apparently there's a book called Go for No. I'm going to read that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
That's cool. So it's definitely a thing then if there's a book on it. It's not something I just made up. Brilliant. Well, we haven't got any questions here, so that's great. It probably means we've answered all the questions. We have gone on a lot longer than I thought we would, but it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you about money and magical checks, and I hope you've enjoyed being here. Rachael is the first guest I've ever had here in the group. I've done some lives with her and other people, but I've never had anyone come into the group. So welcome, you are a first. I feel like I need to give you a medal.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to be here. Like, I love the work that you do, and I love the group. So yeah.
Thank you. And I am absolutely in adoration of all the work that you do. As you know, it's skyrocketed me and my money work, actually. So
I'm really glad. I'm really,
yeah.
really glad. Yay. Nikki and I
So
were talking about that recently, like how our underlying intention with everything is raising other people up. And we
yeah.
see it. Like, when we talk to people, we see it. So yeah, that makes me, like, my heart wants to just go makes me really happy.
And you know, I'm like that too. I'm all about empowering everyone else. And yeah, it's lovely when you meet people like that. So thank you, lovely ladies, for joining us. And for those that managed to find their way into the group who were watching on the page, I will download this video and pop it on the page so you can see it as well. And also they'll be able to find it on your page, won't they, Rachel?
Yes, I've shared a link onto my page and probably into my groups as well. So yeah.
And where can they find you if they want to find out more about you?
I have just got a new website, which is the Rachael Teacher Healer Mystic. If you put www.rachaelteacherhealermystic.com, that's my website. If you put Rachel's Reiki into Facebook, you'll probably find me on there as well. And on Instagram, on all of those, those are my main two platforms, are Facebook and Instagram. So yeah.
And you do live training. Is it each week?
At the moment, I'm doing every Friday. I'm doing a live training. So because I get bored, really, a bit like you, like I need to kind of change it up. So the first Friday, which I've just had today, and it's still there for catch up, is a training around actually using crystal dowsers, and which we're doing a more advanced one next week in the group. Actually, Louise,
I love mine.
yeah, so much fun. Sparkly, shiny things.
Yeah.
The second Friday is a healing session. And I talk about the psychology of the healing as well as the actual, like, sending out some wonderful energy. It's actually a really nice time just to chill out for 20 minutes. And they're always there for catch up and replay. And I know lots of people who use them on the catch up and the replay, and they always on a regular basis, and they get on really well with them. The third Friday is a message where I just give you a message which is relevant for what's going on now. And the last Friday, which I've just started, is Empath Training. So if you're a sensitive person, if you feel other people's emotions quite a lot, if you're always a little bit left field and creative and out of the box, and you think I might be gifted, but I don't seem to see things. I seem to feel everybody else's rubbish instead. I'm doing Empath Training, which is about an empowered empath, which, a lot of what Eloise does in this group will help empaths. And that's what I'm about, which is, actually, if you're a good person, if you're a sensitive person, we need more of you. We need you to be seen more. And if you're empowered in yourself, then you will help put the world back into the place it's supposed to be. So I've just started that. There's one in catch up, and there'll be one at the end of the month, and I'm doing that monthly as well. So that's basically my free stuff on a Friday. It's never at the same time. It's whenever I feel like doing it, because I've got kids and an annoying husband as well. So shoving people out the way.
And tell us about Real World Spirituality briefly.
So Real World is a community space online before it was fashionable. Nikki and I are psychic, where you guys can come along and we explore loads of different subjects. Might be knowledge based, it might be healing based. We have guest speakers in. We talk through everyone. It's almost like not almost, it is. You get coaching, counselling, messages, fun, and it's a supportive, collaborative community. So and it's online every Thursday evening GMT, but it's available for catch up as well. If you fancy, you can't make one week and you want to watch on catch up, then that's what it's there for.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in that group for it's over a year now, and I love it. I learned so many different things that I didn't know, and the people in the group are just so amazing, so real. Like, it's hard to explain. It's so real, but also so magical. It's the perfect combination for me. We have lots of really deep and serious chats, and then we have lots of crazy giggle fits as well, just like you would in not online as well. And it's a really beautiful space that you and Nikki have created.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll pop the links underneath the video for you, lovely. So we'll pop all of those links. And I was also briefly going to show you this link. So if you would like to buy the checkbooks,
Buy them.
they are beautiful. There's 50 checks in them, so they will keep you going for a while. That's where you can buy them. Check them out on the website. If you've got any questions, drop me a message or comment below the video, and I will post Rachel's links as well so that you can get hold of those. So thanks again, Rachel, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for making it over into the group after the page failed. Mercury retrograde, I believe. So, you know, it's going to happen. And have a lovely weekend. Bye, everyone.